Josh Berry gets a win and joins a very elite list, so let's get into it. Coming up next. What's going on, everybody? Hope you're doing good today. Before we start this one off, wanted to say Moderator B, I know a lot of people in the community know her. She had a little bit of a situation. Everybody over there is safe, but a little bit of a situation at her house. So wanted to keep her and everyone's thoughts and prayers before we get this one going here. But Josh Berry gets his first win of his NASCAR Cup Series career in Las Vegas, and it is a huge win for him because look at the list of drivers he joins now that have won races for the Wood Brothers. And I'm not even going to try to memorize that, so we're just going to read it off the sheet here. Josh Berry, of course, gets this win. Trevor Bayne also has one win. Harrison Burton, Elliott Sadler, Ryan Blaney, Morgan Shepherd, Tiny Lunn, Donnie Allison, Curtis Turner, Buddy Baker, Dale Jarrett also all have one win for the Wood Brothers, but the list doesn't stop there because even with all of the legends that I just mentioned on that, those are just the drivers that have one win with the Wood Brothers. The list continues with drivers with multiple wins, including Kyle Petty and Speedy Thompson with 2. Then at 4 apiece is going to be Glenn Wood and Dan Gurney. Then at 5, sitting there by himself, is A.J. Foyt. Marvin Punch had 8 wins. Neil Bonnet, 9 wins with the Wood Brothers. And then 2 drivers with the most amount of wins for the Wood Brothers, 13 for Cale Yarborough, absolute all-world Hall of Famer in Cale Yarborough, and then, of course, 43 wins. Ironic that's 43 wins with the Wood Brothers for David Pearson, 43, of course, being Richard Petty's number, and those two were massive rivals in their respective times. But just look at the list of drivers that the Wood Brothers have gotten wins with or just, have driven for the Wood Brothers in the past. And for Josh Berry to not only win a race and now just joins that rank of the Wood Brothers, but also winning a race, joining the ranks of all the drivers that have won a race in NASCAR. Just a huge, big day overall for Josh Berry. And for people in the short track racing community, this is a big day too because he is definitely one of the drivers that all of them look at and say he is one of those guys. He worked on the cars. He did everything he had to do. He's not just a guy that jumped in the car and drove it. He basically encompassed every aspect of the grassroots racing scene. So for him to win, that is definitely a big win for him. Big win for the Cars Tour. And if you remember how Josh Berry got his start, it was actually iRacing with Dale Jr., so also not really thought of in that way because he was such a hands-on grassroots level racer, but he did get the start in the iRacing community, so a big day for the iRacing group as well. A lot of people talk about William Byron quite often, but Josh Berry also one of those guys that got his start in iRacing, so Josh Berry sort of covering both worlds there, the iRacing world and also the guys that work on their own stuff, so pretty unique in that aspect. But also last year, the Wood Brothers got win number 100. This year, it is win number 101, and that puts them on the, I think, 8th place in the list. So let's read that list of where those winners are at as well as far as teams go. The top of the list is going to be Hendrick with 312. Richard Petty Enterprises or Petty Enterprises at 268, Joe Gibbs Racing 214, Penske 150, RFK 141, Junior Johnson Racing and Associates 132, RCR at 117, and then you got the Woods right there at 101. I think those numbers are generally accurate. I looked at some old articles, so some of those teams might have 1 or 2 more wins than I said there, but I think in general that is definitely the order of the list, even if some of the numbers might not be exactly right, but I think the numbers are right. And Josh Berry had a good car, and he ran well all day, but that wasn't the only story of this race because cautions came out. We had 9 cautions for 53 laps, and those cautions came out at very interesting moments in this race, and I can't focus on all of them, but let's focus on the last 2. Noah Gragson getting into the wall brings out the last caution, and then the caution before that with Ryan Blaney and the 43, that brought out another situation where it jumbled things up, and guys that had been in the front all day got moved to the back, and it just sort of played out that it played into Josh Berry's hands, even though he had a faster car, but all those drivers that finished up front, you had to have a little bit of luck in this race just because of the way the cautions fell, but that wasn't the only thing that you had to have a little bit of luck on or execution-wise had to be good with because pit stops were also a significant factor today. And I'm just going to use Kyle Busch as an example here because pit stops, they basically ruined his day. One pit stop, he was speeding on pit road, put him toward the back of the pack. Then on another pit stop, they had a loose wheel. That loose wheel ended up eating itself, and then the wheel itself failed. So he got a 2-lap penalty, had to go to the pits. That completely ruined his day. And he was just the biggest example of this, but there were a lot of guys that had fast cars that have problems on pit road, got themselves in trouble, and were never able to recover. If they did recover, otherwise got into some other accident, which would factor into all of the cautions that we had for this race, which I thought was pretty unique. I don't remember another Las Vegas race with quite this many cautions. But kind of cool that it was Vegas, because luck did play into it. Up and down day, depending on when the cautions fell, you were either screwed or you were going to have a great day. But the fact that all of that happened at Vegas was kind of fitting, because Vegas, of course, is synonymous with luck. And of course, the other big controversy from pit road being Chistopher Bell had the loose wheel. He pulled into the 19's pit. The 19 tightened up that wheel for him, and then he went back out. He was still penalized, put at the back of the field. A lot of people felt some kind of way about that, thought the penalty should have been much stiffer than just going to the back of the field. So I don't know. I'm not going to say I don't care about it, but it wasn't as big a deal to me as probably a lot of people, because here's why it wasn't a big deal to me. I don't think this is going to be some rampant thing that happens in the future. I don't think somebody's going to have a loose wheel and just pull into a random teammate's pit stall and they get it fixed. So I don't see it being a rampant problem going forward, but I don't know. I guess if you feel like NASCAR needs a stronger penalty on it, I guess I can see where you're coming from, but I don't necessarily see it as the biggest deal in the world, because I don't think it's something that's really going to happen all the time. I don't think it's a rule that can really be manipulated to help you win or something like that. So I didn't see it as the biggest deal in the world, but at the same time, maybe it needs a bigger penalty. I don't know. All right, let's get to that top 10. Josh Berry, of course, your winner. Daniel Suarez finishing in second place here with all of the pressure on him this season to run well. You could definitely see the relief in his face in the interview when he was talking there. So that second place, definitely a big day for him. And I talked about grassroots short track racing guys. None epitomizes that more than Ryan Preece, who finished in third place here. So great run for him. If he can just finish races, and he needed this momentum, that third place, an awesome run for him. And I think you're going to see more of it in the future. He's in the fastest cars probably that he's ever been in his entire career, and he is absolutely making the most of it right now. So not only is Josh Berry going to be one of those guys that one of the preseason things that I actually got right, Josh Berry getting a win, I think Ryan Preece is going to be in that conversation as well, as long as he can finish races and keep the momentum going forward over there at RFK in the 60 car. William Byron here finishing in fourth, so another Killer Bee in fourth. Josh Berry with a B in his name, so the season of the Killer Bees continue. So far, everybody that has won a race has a B in their name and has a 20 on the side of the car, or a 20 number on the side of the car, the 20, the 21, and the 24. So doesn't really mean anything, but it's just an interesting thing to keep track of. Ross Chastain finishing in fifth place here. Good day for Trackhouse, 2 top 5s for them. Austin Cindric in sixth place, though. For the Discount Tire Ford. Alex Bowman in 7th continues his strong start to the season. Even though he has to overcome adversity, he ends up always getting a top 10. AJ Allmendinger, great run for the Kala gang over there in 8th place. Kyle Larson in 9th. Looked like he had a car that could have won the race at points, but the cautions just didn't fall his way into the race. He just didn't have the right strategy to continue to challenge for the lead. Chase Elliott, great run for him, finishing in 10th place. And then 11 through 15 is going to be Brad Keselowski, Chistopher Bell, the aforementioned issue on pit road there, Chris Buescher, Justin Haley, great run for him, and Joey Logano, another car that had race-winning speed, but the strategy from the crew chief or the engineers, whoever made the call there, sort of hurt the 22 car as well. And just to put a bow on the Josh Berry deal, Dale Earnhardt Jr., obviously friends with Josh Berry, super excited, posted this after the win that he's super proud of him. And Griffin Boyd here saying, not sure if anyone else saw that. Rodney Childers was one of the first to the Josh Berry window in Victory Lane. One of my favorite things about racing is the camaraderie. To which Rodney Childers said, haha, after I walked off, I felt bad. I think I was too rough. So definitely a super popular win for sure amongst everybody in the garage. You got a Wood Brothers win, so a lot of people are going to be stoked about that. You got a Josh Berry win. A lot of people are going to be stoked about that. But here's some people that won't be stoked. Eric Jones here in 27th and Bubba Wallace in 28th. They were probably two of the fastest Toyotas all day, and they just don't end up getting the finish that they wanted to get because of one of these cautions they were collected in. and various other things. Todd Gilliland, he smoked the wall all by himself. Carson Hocevar, he had speed at times, but also was collected in one. Noah Gregson had a good run going, hit the wall as well. Austin Dillon and Kyle Busch finishing 32nd and 33rd. Both RCR cars had speed at points in this race. Neither one of those RCR cars has anything to show for the speed. It's a bad day for them as well. Then SVG, I talked about Trackhouse having a good day, but here you go, 34th place, Shane Van Gisbergen. Not sure if he was overdriving the car or if they just tried something different aggressively with the setup, but he kept blowing out right side tires on his particular car versus his Trackhouse teammates were able to have those two top fives. So it was really an interesting dichotomy of just how that went down for Trackhouse. You got two in the top five, and then you had one car that couldn't keep right side tires on it. So very interesting day for SVG. So I just don't understand how he was so much different than his teammates. But at the end of the day, it could be just something. Maybe he was overdriving it where his teammates weren't doing it. It could be one of those things too. He is a rookie at the end of the day, so it could be anything. But it was interesting that his two teammates finished in the top five. Then, of course, Ryan Blaney, who also had race-winning speed, I think, but ends up getting in that wreck and ends up 35th. So there's your bad race. Let's take a look at where the points are after Vegas. William Byron is your points leader. He is at plus 29 over Christopher Bell. Tyler Reddick in third, minus 48 to William Byron. Then you got Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman rounding out your top five. 6 through 16 going to be Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Chris Buescher, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Denny Hamlin, Josh Berry, Michael McDowell, John Hunter Nemechek, and as it stands right now, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., your last man in the playoffs if they start today. On the outside looking in is going to be Kyle Busch, Ryan Preece, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, and Austin Cindric. All right, that's it for this one. Appreciate you hanging out and checking me out. Until the next one, peace.